Now, before we begin this next part, I have a, well, really silly failure to show you. Just gonna do this a sneak preview of the fail channel, because, well, the actual fail channel part's gonna be coming up much later in this part, but for the time being, just a short clip. This one was probably the dumbest thing I've done this entire playthrough. This was purely my fault, but this was just so hilariously stupid, I just had to show it off. So here it is. So just as I was getting ready to unbox Sedgar and recruit him with Violin, this happened. Wait for it. Oh, Ryan. Not Elwyn. I slipped on the buttons and pressed attack. I was thinking, oh, he'll be fine, oh, and of course I had to critical then, didn't I? Goodbye, Sedgar. Let that be a lesson to all Fire Emblem players. If you spend ages, putting a character in a box like that, don't ruin it with one misclick like I did. I mean, okay, I'm glad I had a save point back there, because having to restart the whole chapter because of that would be humiliating. But anyway, moving right along. So, we're back, after that minor setback. And we want to get rid of this guy quickly to kill a land student, because otherwise, yeah, we may be in some slight trouble. Good thing most of our good characters have enough luck to avoid being to do that. That's happened a lot this playthrough, hasn't it? Killer weapon reversal, I like to call it. And, well, she's got more defense than Catria. Similar luck, though. Anyway, we're not... I actually think Violin could reach now, so I remember to move Ultima first and not even move him in range. That's why having 11 swords would be a bad idea. Anyway, now time to recruit Sedgar. So, Roshi recruits Violin, and Violin recruits Sedgar. Sedgar was one of the two members of the obscenely overpowered Wolfguard duo. Some would call them the Super Hardin Bros. Yeah, they all had growths in ridiculous amounts, even almost up to 100% in some areas. And even though they lacked promotion gains and started with low bases, they ended up ridiculously overpowered in that game, no matter what class you made them. So they were favourites in a lot of places. But anyway, this conversation is pretty interesting. Like, again, the Wolfguard gets some good character development in this game, probably better than most of the other new additions in the remake. And, yeah, they get some whole questioning thing going on, kind of like Arrow in a way, except, I mean, yeah, it really explores the fact they're serving a lord who's basically gone insane, and even who he used to be, and yet they're conflicted with whether they still want to serve him, or whether they would technically betray him, but, I mean, still... it's not really him, so... And you haven't even seen Wolf's conversation yet. Wolf's side of the story is probably the most interesting, but yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Sedgar. Oh, how have the mighty fallen. Yes, I'll just go out and say it, Sedgar is nowhere near as good as he was in Shadow Dragon. I mean, his growth is still decent. They're not as game-breaking as they used to be. They're good, but not totally game-breaking. Sadly, it's his bases that are the real issue. Part of what made Wolf and Sedgar so good in Shadow Dragon was they began at level 1, so they had a huge number of level ups to make use of their good growth rates. In this game, though, yeah, it's sad, but they begin at level 10. So they have pretty much half as many level ups to make use of their growth rates. And add to the fact their growths aren't quite as good as they used to be, and their bases are actually pretty bad even by this game's standards, and, well, you get not much. Yeah, I'll just say it now, the Wolfguard, yeah, there's a reason people call them the Fail Guard in this game. They're kind of back to how they were in the original Mystery of the Emperor 1, being kind of meh pre-promotes. Which is a huge step down from how they were back in Shadow Dragon, where they were amazing, and some of the best pre-promotes in the whole series. But, again, yes, how have the mighty fallen? Sedgar is nowhere near as amazing as he used to be, and I think I should probably leave it at that before I get depressed. Sedga on side, that makes 3 out of 4. We still need 1 more member of the Wolfguard, and of course we need Sedga to recruit him. So we haven't figured it out by now. The chain goes, Marth visits the village for Roshi, Roshi recruits Violent, Violent recruits Sedga, and finally Sedga recruits Wolf, thus completing the chain. Yeah, it's probably one of the most involved recruitments in the series, overall, but at least it's not as bad as Xavier. Xavier, I hate that guy! Sorry, so painful. So many painful memories. Painful memories. Even mentioning his name brings back painful memories. Okay, I want to forget about that. I've heard recruiting Armaldo is just as bad. Good thing I never went the A route of Brachia. Anyway, so yeah, we get to hear a bit of backstory on Midia. She's the daughter of Arcadia's former Supreme Commander. And she rebelled, but because she's not very good, she kind of... Yeah, so Midia's unfortunately one of those characters who suffers from the problem of they're famed in story, but in gameplay they don't really do much. I mean, not just in gameplay, I mean, they're famed in the backstory, but what they do in the actual plot mostly consists of getting captured. So, yeah, I'll talk more about Midia when we actually meet her. She's, yeah, one of the more, I don't know, less interesting characters in the game, probably. And yes, now this whole bunch of reinforcements, I didn't get to talk about them. Yes, when you, I think it's when Sedga's Swan starts leaving, I don't know, but the first batch of reinforcements are triggered, and they include sages, as you can see there. This is in fact the first time we've fought enemy sages, and in fact this is the first time we've seen their enemy, their actual portrait, so, yeah, enemy generic sages do get a portrait, which is pretty cool. It actually looks pretty cool too. And this is the first time we've got to see it, so... yeah, take a good look at that, because this is the first time we'll see it. There are more sages in the next chapter, I think, but yeah, enemy sages, of course, sages didn't exist in History of the Emblem. Technically speaking, the sages sort of did exist in History of the Emblem, because, Bishop and Sage were essentially the same thing back then. Healers and mages both promoted into the same class, which was called Bishop, but it was essentially basically the same as Sage, just a class that could use both staff and sword, and swords, what am I saying? That was, the priestess class in, Gaia. No, a class that could use both staves and magic. But Merrick had a unique sprite when he promoted, and his promoted version looks kind of like sages do in the later games. So, sort of did exist, but anyway, so these sages weren't in the original Mystery of the Emblem, and I don't remember them being, yeah, reinforcements in this chapter. I'm guessing if they were, the reinforcements would have been just regular old mages, really. But I mean, given how bad the stats of these sages are, they may as well just be unpromoted mages, I'll be honest with you. Please get speed, please get speed, please get speed, please get... yes! Oh, and luck too, that's nice. But, mostly the speed. Phew. Maybe his speed is getting unscrewed. Anyway. Despite the fact that with our low resistances though, sages still hit hard, so we'll need to stay out of their range unless we can feel confident on dodging them. Now, Violent and Roshi are basically done. They can just both go down and be assigned to village visiting duty. Sedga, on the other hand, he's got to come with us, because yes, there's one more member of the Wolfguard we need to recruit, and we need Sedga for that. So, yeah, he's coming with us. Again, Roshi and Violent will basically be regulated to village visiting duty and free healing experience for Elrum. Like that. He's on his way to a B with staves. I really want to get into A though, so that means I can use Fortify without having to waste a slot on Militia. I mean, not that Militia's bad in any way, it's just that one, deployment slots are tight, and two, she got really badly RNG screwed. I was not prepared for that. Anyway, a few more of these. A lot of these villages use the theme, the People's Lament, aka the Sad Village theme. In the Mystery of the Emblem soundtrack, I find it quite amusing that the song, the rough equivalent of that song, is simply called Sad Villager, which I find hilarious, just because I'm picturing the secret agents from Psychonauts saying something like, I am a sad villager. Boo hoo, boo hoo. Anyway, ow. See, what did I tell you about sages being painful? With your low resistances, yeah, they hurt an awful lot, so you want to stay out of their range if you can help it. Once you get to them, they go down pretty quickly with their low defense, but they hit you pretty hard, so they're essentially glass cannons, really. And more will keep coming, because, yeah, I probably need to explain reinforcements in this chapter. This chapter has probably one of the biggest reinforcement swarms in the game. That huge massive fort near the castle, yeah, that's not just there for show. Reinforcement... Oh, come on, that was really uncharacteristically weak, but anyway. Reinforcements are going to come pouring out of those forts. So as you can see, there are a bunch of paladins, horsemen, and sages. The sages can be pretty nasty, but fortunately they've got a slow movement rate, so that kind of makes up for it. The paladins and the horsemen, well, the horsemen you really want to keep your flyers away from them. Also, the horsemen have silver swords though, so don't think you're safe if they get into melee range, then they can defend themselves with swords. Good thing they'll fire from 4 enemies and can re-equip themselves depending on how you attack them. Stupid cheating FE4 bosses, I hate that. Anyway though, the paladins are probably what you want to be aware of because of their massive movement range and the fact that there are a freaking lot of them. Now, in Lunatic mode, I've seen screen captures of this chapter in Lunatic mode and they made me very, very scared. And I mean really scared, and no criticals, seriously? Wow, that was unlucky. Okay, he gets hit by 60% and doesn't critical with 240. That is, well, yes, he'll level up. And, I guess that was alright. I swear he had better strength than this in my first playthrough, though. He might be getting a little bit strength soon. I don't know. Because I'm sure he maxed stuff more than speed in my first playthrough. But anyway, like I was saying, those paladins, on Lunatic mode, they all have forged spears. Spear, you know, the 1-2 range javelin that's not nerfed and is ridiculously powerful, and haha, you can't get it. I'm pretty sure you can't get it at least. I think it's enemy only. Tomahawks too, I think. Yeah, they originally started out as enemy only, actually, because the Spear and Tomahawk both made their debut, I believe, in Fire Emblem 6, Sword of Seals, in which they were basically just exclusive to powerful bosses, and were equipment you could never obtain. The Javelin was, I know Murdoch had the Javelin, and the Spear, I believe one of those big general guys had it. I don't really pay much attention to the characters in the Sword of Seals, seeing I hate that game, but anyway. Hate's a bit of a strong word, but it is my least favourite in the series by far. Anyway, everything's gone insane. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. I wonder if that's a translation slip-up and that could have just been gods, plural, but... hard to tell, but often they tend to translate that as deities or gods, plural, so I don't know who let that one slip. That's probably just a slip-up, but anyway. So everyone here is pretty depressed. I guess that Norda's probably better now, so, because given that all the villagers there seem to, you know, actually have human feelings, not like, let's abuse children and sell them into slavery. Oh, Katarina. Katarina must have had a very horrible past if she grew up there. If you played Shadow Dragon, you'll know what a bad place that place was, and even worse in this game, because Ogma, again, was apparently forced through Gladiator games when he was just a kid right there. Yes, this is in fact the town. See that arena there? I'm not going to use that out of principle, because that was where Ogma was severely traumatized. I am not going to use that save point just yet, though. I'm going to save this for when we approach the castle, because the next trigger of reinforcement will only appear when we set foot in the area near the castle. Yeah, these ones are proximity triggered as opposed to turn triggered, and they keep coming for quite a few turns. Quite a lot of turns. I'm in a really big lot of turns. So, and we also want to make sure we don't go into Wolf's range before we're ready, because we need to recruit someone Sedka. We also need to make sure that Sedka doesn't, get his head shot off by ballistas. Stupid pachyderms. Pachyderm is painful, really painful. Anyway, we're just going to slowly inch our way forward. Don't cross these two forts right up the top here. Don't cross this area, and make sure your highest defense characters are right up the front and center. Mary Sue technically has the highest defense of all my characters, but she probably shouldn't be choke pointing just because, choke pointing is not that effective when most of the enemies you're trying to choke off are in fact archers and you're a flyer. Yeah, that doesn't end well. So my best bet is probably Catria with aid of the Iota Shield. I mean, really, I shouldn't really trade the Iota Shield very soon, but I like Catria and want her to be awesome, and I want her to... because she deserves to have no weaknesses, she's that broken. Anyway, we've got to be really careful here, because if we step a little too far, across, there's like an invisible line, and once we cross it, reinforcements are going to start pouring out of all those forts. And on hard, when they can move the turn they arrive, that is really dangerous, so we're going to have to watch out for that. Now, this is funny though, when I played this chapter on normal mode for the first time, on my very first playthrough, again, this was normal mode, these reinforcements didn't appear at all. Although I don't know, because most reinforcements tend to stop when the boss is killed, I may have just rushed the boss and killed him too quickly for the reinforcements to spawn. But I had a feeling I like to take chapters slowly, so I probably didn't do that. I can't remember exactly what I did, but I know that I didn't see any reinforcements whatsoever except for Violence Squad. So, I don't really know what happened, unless the reinforcements are not on normal mode. Well, they're definitely here on hard mode, I'll give you that, because they're, well, you'll find out the enemy's about to summon them. Oh boy, yep, we're going to be seeing Reinforce-O-Rama pretty soon, and that is why I've saved this save point here, because yeah, I did not want to waste, I rightfully had to restart this an awful lot of times, and I'll show you just when, but very soon, we're going to be seeing that save point, and then I'm going to have to cut to something a bit special, so, right, see you then. Save point time, and then it's time for the Fail Channel! Yes, it's that time again. Why is it that reinforcements always bring failing with them? But in this case, there were so many reinforcements and so much failing that I really can't show it all in full. So, I'm gonna do a bit of a montage this time. Yes, it took trial and lots of error until I finally figured out the quote-unquote right way to approach this section of the map. But until I did, I was failing an awful lot, and I've caught most of them on camera. So again, get ready for a montage, set to, well, what else? Hit it! So my first plan was simply to lure in Wolf and have Sega recruit him next turn. After that, we'd kill the ballistas, block off the reinforcements, and pick off the remaining ones at our leisure. Good thing I left Ryan unarmed there. Yes, now Sega's in perfect range to go and recruit him, and I'll cut the recruitment conversation because you'll be seeing that in the chapter proper. Now that he's recruited, I only just realised I can tag up and talk to him, so I might as well do this, and hey, Sega actually accomplished something. Guess he managed to make himself useful for something in this chapter. So, one ballista is down, and that means one less threat attacking us, which is good. Wolf will only move Elwyn if I want Wolf to run away, but he needs to, because he's kind of weak. Unfortunately, that logic was the exact reason I failed this run. You'll see in a moment. But first, I sent Ryan down here to take out the next ballista, and block off one of the reinforcement forts at the same time, or at least what I thought was a reinforcement fort. Now with the ballistas gone, I felt we could safely all advance and block off most of the forts. The problem was, most of the reinforcements actually come from the other half of the forts, not the ones we blocked off, and that's still more than enough. Also, bad base of Setga left in range of a lot of ballistas and a lot of enemies. This, of course, was our downfall. After a rather unlucky kill and fast, now our downfall. So, what did we learn? Exactly. And now it's time for take 2. Hopefully things are going to be better this time. So, right, we're back here. Wolf is ready to be recruited. Let's send Sega in. Making sure I have militia on hand to rescue him afterwards. Now, Wolf is recruited. And militia can handily go next to Marth and pull the rescue staff out of the convoy to grab Setga. Because we don't want him to die like last time. So, let's go get that rescue staff then, shall we? Good thing it's no longer Yumina exclusive, actually. And Sedgar is safe, and if I move Elven a bit, Wolf will be safe too. Can also level up there. So now we've all blocked off those forts and the like, but as it turns out, that wasn't quite the perfect strategy. Because, well, that's a lot of reinforcements, and if they all gang up on one person, even the most broken of broken characters can fall. Yes, sadly for Catria, being broken will only take us so far. And being really, really unlucky with dodging also contributed, I will say. Yeah, that's a lot of generals for one character to take on. I mean, Catria is an Ike, she's got no way of recovering HP, and this is not going to end well. I don't see this ending well. Definitely not going to end well. Catria hates mages, and yep, gone. So, lesson number 2. Take 3. Well, I had a solid foundation of tactics to build on. This one went, slightly better. Everything went pretty much just how I would have wanted to. Once again, Sedgar recruits Wolf. Sedgar gets rescued. But this time, we all stayed back rather than moving up right directly to the fort, and we let the reinforcements come to us. Everything seems to be going perfectly. And then this happened. Lesson 3. Don't leave Fina in range of a ballista! I was so close! Take 4! And fortunately, that was where it ended, because Take 4 did in fact turn out to be successful. No weakling Sedgar, no reinforcements mobbing Catria, and no leaving Fina in range of ballistas. So I succeeded in the end, but not after an awful lot of failing. Right then, let's get back to the successful run, shall we? Okay, enough failing onto the actual attempt that succeeded. So what I learned from that was, you really don't want to rush in here. You want to hold back and let the reinforcements come to you. Stay on these forts here so they can only fight you one-on-one. Otherwise, they'll all mob you at once, and with those sages there, that's generally not good. I mean, you know, you've got physical and magic units as reinforcements. That's not really going to be good, because if you've got someone with high physical defense, they're going to be worn out from all the physical fighters, and the mages will finish them off. If you've got someone with high resistance, then the physical fighters will destroy them. So, yeah, you don't want to be attacked by all these guys at once. The problem with this strategy is that it means that, well, it means that ballistas are still a problem, and we don't actually get to kill them until quite a bit later, once the reinforcements have died down. But if we can dodge enough, the ballistas shouldn't be that bad. I mean, they don't have that high hit rate. They do hurt an awful lot when they do hit. Well, Bast is pretty good at dodging, you know. So you notice, yeah, they do hurt an awful lot when they do hit, but when they don't, yeah, they really don't. So, they're not that big a serious threat. And so we can finally go recruit Wolf, and see this conversation in proper. You have no idea how painful it was that I had to sit through this whole conversation every time I failed this. And not just the times I failed, the times my emulator crashed too. Yes, I lost even more. There are even more than 4 takes of this. Anyway, by recruitment conversation standards, this one is really long. I mean, it's pretty interesting, but yeah, Wolf takes a lot of convincing, and because of this, his recruitment conversation is long. And again, because of that, it's so painful that I had to sit through this whole thing every single time I failed. Because of course, since I have to get this on camera, I've got to record the whole conversation at a slow pace every single time. Wow, it's a good thing Hardin said something very convenient when he appointed them all Wolfguard. What if he'd said, serve me unconditionally no matter what? Then we wouldn't be recruiting them at all. Anyway, Wolf's case is interesting among all the Wolfguard and their loyalty to Hardin. So, yeah, I probably need to explain a bit about Wolf. Wolf is extremely loyal to Hardin, but excessively so, almost to the point of obsession. And yeah, almost to the point of, you know, in a mentally unhealthy way. Yeah, it's implied that Wolf is not exactly quite right in the head, and he serves Hardin, but out of some incredibly deluded obsession, and yeah, you'll see later in his ending, or if you get his thoughts, he's kinda interesting. Of course, he's also been dismissed as emo, but I guess that's not completely unfounded, but he does have reasons for being an emo. Anyway, rescuing Sedgar, and dang it, now he's on the escape spot I normally use for, Wolf, so Wolf's gonna have to run with that. And speaking of Wolf, let's talk about him. I probably don't need to talk much about Wolf here. Everything I said about Sedgar also applies to this guy. Basically, to sum up, how have the mighty fallen? Wolf, previously Paragon of Brokenness, is now just another, creeper mode. And he is probably the worst of the whole bunch, actually, because he starts at level 12, which means he has even less level ups to make use of his good growth rate. I mean, his growths are pretty good, but, he starts at such a high level, he doesn't get much of a chance to use them. And yeah, his bases, while they're better than most of the other Wolfguard, they're still not that great overall. I mean, again, by the standards of the original Mystery of the Emblem, they're really good, but again, Wolf has no excuse to go by the standards of the original Mystery of the Emblem because he wasn't in it. So, yeah. And his averages, well, yeah, not that great. I mean, yeah, so Castor, Warren, even Robert are going to be so much better than this guy, when fully leveled, so there's really no point in using him. Which is a shame, because he's one of the most interesting characters in the game, in my opinion. And he does get a very unique character arc, and it's, again, yes, he's quite unique. He's something I haven't quite seen from a Fire Emblem character, so, that's, yeah, pretty interesting. But, for the most part, yeah, Wolf, yeah, you used to be awesome, now you're just, sorry. Okay, we have now crossed the line, and Reinforce-O-Rama is going to be starting pretty soon. So, given that the next, I want to get as much experience out of this chapter as possible. Now, in normal mode, again, I wasn't even able to trigger these reinforcements. This is, in fact, my first time ever dealing with them. That probably, yeah, is why I failed so much at this point. Because, yeah, I haven't actually dealt with this before. You might notice that most of my fails come from either reinforcements moving to turn they arrive and me not being prepared for that, or just reinforcements I didn't see in my original run-through the game. So, yeah, the stuff I'm unfamiliar with is the stuff I probably fail at the most, so yeah, and here they come. Whoa boy, that's a lot of reinforcements. But I want to make use of every last bit of experience that I can get, that I can get my hands on. So, yeah, we're going to be fighting a lot of waves of these guys, and yeah, I apologize in advance if this gets boring. Oh, I hate physics starfishes. Anyway, yeah, see, now this is the silver swords I told you about. This is probably the first time you've seen a horseman use a sword. One thing I want to note is that the animation for horsemen using swords, it's almost identical to the animation of rangers using swords in Sacred Stones. Which is interesting. And you know what? Back when Shadow Dragon wasn't localized yet, I always thought that the Horseman class would get localized to Ranger. It didn't, so I was a bit surprised, because really it's almost identical to that class in Sacred Stones. Random trivia for you, the Horseman class in Sacred Stones was in fact in the Japanese version named Forest Knight. Yes, the very same class title that's used for Beowulf's promoted class in FE4. Wow, that's a lot of accuracy. And one-hit KO even without the poleaxe. Anyway, yeah, like I said, Forest Knight, yeah, that's the same class as, Bale's prototype, the upgraded form of Free Knight, although the two classes are radically different. So Sacred Stone's Forest Knight, aka Ranger, which of course is different from Ike's Ranger class in Path of Radiance. There are a lot of weird localization, double name-changing clashes there. But anyway, like I was saying, Sacred Stone's Ranger is basically Nomad, but just without the Sakaean imagery, because a place like that doesn't exist in the Sacred Stones universe. I'm going to take this opportunity to kill this ballista now, because, yeah, you get a bit of a couple of turns break after each wave of reinforcements, and you want to use that to kill as many of the reinforcements who are already on screen as you possibly can, and just prepare and reorganize your battle lines in preparation for the next wave. So my plan basically goes like this. Wait for the reinforcements to spawn, let them come to you, then rush out of hiding, whack them all, then, well, pause from this, talk about, actually you can't see it so I won't, rush them all, then, retreat back to my, little, forts here, reform the battle line, and prepare for the next wave, and repeat that ad nauseum until the reinforcements are gone. So that's basically my strategy here. So yes, if you're going for low turn count though, you really want to just rush the boss, kill him, and seize as fast as you possibly can. And on Lunatic mode, that's probably a good option, because on Lunatic mode, you really don't want to fight these reinforcements, because as good as the experience is, I mean, I would really take easy chapter finishing over... I would take less experience over having to deal with a whole bunch of these guys with forged spears any day. Yeah, on the higher difficulties, enemies start having forged weapons that would cost like hundreds of thousands of gold for a player to actually recreate. Yeah, they put a limit on the forging in Awakening, but of course, the AI can ignore this limit. They never played fair though in the first place, so it's not like that's new. Speaking of the AI not playing fair, final DLC, the strongest one's name. Just look at the stats of those guys. Yeah, if you want AI not playing fair, you want that. Anyway, yeah, reinforcements are probably going to come starting for the next episode. So for the time being, we can take our time and deal with these ones. I would like to get rid of those ballistas, but before then, yeah. Oh, also I'm luring the generals. I didn't realize I'd be doing that, but nice dodge. And nice double critical. Always love double criticals. They look especially cool in games like Path of Radiance, where a critical kill has a different animation for a critical that doesn't kill. So you get to see both animations in one thing to get double critical. I do quite like the Warrior's double attack animation. For some reason I like to call it Axe Stomp, because it kind of looks like you're stomping on them with an axe. I don't know, it's weird. Anyway. Right there, next wave should be coming soon. Again, this is boring, so retreat, heal, rinse and repeat, basically. So, yeah, probably should talk about, well, I kind of already did talk about Wolf's character arc. Well, actually, the Wolfguard in general. I think the Wolfguard in general, personally, are some of the most evolved characters in the Fire Emblem series. What I mean by evolved is, okay, they started out as just generic, sidekicks of Hearten, with absolutely no backstory and no dialogue whatsoever. Even in Shadow Dragon, none of the Wolfguard got any dialogue at all. So it only took their endings for us to even get a vague idea of what their personalities were like. So yes, this is actually their first speaking role, surprisingly enough. They've gone like, what is it, like first game, then first Mystery of the Emblem, and yeah, well Mystery of the Emblem, yeah, they do get a speaking role in Book 2, but they're only unrecruitable enemies. So this is basically how they evolved. They started off Hearten's generic lackeys with no personality, no speech at all, and generally pretty bad stats all round, really, except for Roshi. Roshi could be pretty good, especially in the original Mystery of the Emblem. For some reason, Shadow Dragon nerfed his speed growth to hell and back. I don't know why it did that, because, yeah, he's pretty bad in that game, and I really don't know why. Then again, why would you use him as a Hearten? Hearten is awesome. Anyway, So they went from that, and then in Mystery of the Emblem Book 2, they got a little bit of character development as now high-ranking lackeys of the main antagonist. So yeah, and they finally got a speaking role, they're now bosses, but only one of them was recruitable, and the rest didn't get much in the way of characterization, other than we are loyal to Hardin no matter what. Then Shadow Dragon came around. Shadow Dragon didn't change them much characterization-wise, but it did give them good growth to the point where they were actually worth using, and they became some of the most famous characters in the game in response to that. So, before, they went from people that people loved killing in the original Mystery of the Emblem because they were bad, to characters that people would not want to because they became some of the most beloved characters in that game, just on virtue of them being really amazing, even though they got no lines at all unless they died, and even then it was only one word. I'm not joking. Their death quote is literally just coyote ... and one random grunt specific to each one of them, which I find kind of hilarious. You can look up, I can't remember which of the grunts. I know one of them has Nib, one of them has Rug, one of them has Gah, or something like that. I don't know, just look it up. Again, I find that kind of funny, but then you get this game, and even though this game doesn't do much for them stat-wise, their characters are fleshed out a lot more. Now they're recruitable, you now get to see them actually show general conflictedness over what Hardin has become, and those are pretty much the only two stats Katria has left to gain, so I'm glad I got those. And they were recruitable, they got support, and they got a lot of fleshed out character development, and Wolf in particular got a very interesting arc that was taken in a very unexpected direction, as you'll see in his ending. It's a little depressing, but, I mean, yeah, it's something we haven't seen out of a Fire Emblem recruitable ally, really, and it is, yeah, really interesting. And so that's why I like to say the Wolfguard have evolved since their first appearance. They went from just random characters with no lines to some of the most memorable characters in the series, both stat-wise in the case of Shadow Dragon, Wolf, and Zedgar, and story-wise in the case of this game. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about the Wolfguard, and I'm not done with the reinforcements yet. Yeah, just believe me when I say there are a lot of reinforcements in this chapter, and I love one-shotting sages with criticals. I mean, you don't have to get hit by their magic, I hate that. Please get a better level up this time. Well, I guess you heard me. That is very good, actually, and he got resistance again. That's twice in one chapter, that's amazing. I also love one-shotting sages with axes. I reckon I could do that in public rank too sometimes. Yeah, still more ballistas, but okay, get rid of this guy. And for some reason, weapon triangle advantage did almost nothing for me. I have a massive critical though because of the standing near the Earth sphere, Geosphere, whatever. And now I got those ones maxed. So essentially now I'm kinda like Katria but better. Yeah, I wasn't kidding, well, with worse weapon ranks. I wasn't kidding when I said Mary Sue will essentially outclass any other character of their class, no matter what you make them. And, as I found out later, my use of reclassing has gotten Mary Sue a huge amount of defense. You'll see later when I reclass her back to Swordmaster, and she has 20 defense as a Swordmaster. That's pretty stupidly ridiculous. Anyway, wow, this video's gone on for a long time, but I think there's one more wave of reinforcements, so we've got to watch out. Gotta keep doing it back too. Well, it's a shame we can't make as good use of it, but I'm really paranoid about something happening to her again, like one shot by Ballista. I remember that used to happen to Lyn back when I played Blazing Sword. This is when I was stupid and didn't train my lords, and whoa, Militia, you actually got a good level up for once! Wow, it's like the universe is ending or something. I don't know. Anyway, like I was saying, back when I was stupid and didn't level up my lords, in the Blazing Sword, I would always have, especially in Fog of War maps, I would walk Lyn a little bit forward, and she was on like 5 or something, and a Ballista Bolt would fly out of the sky and impale her instantly. Yeah, that was always annoying when that happened. Of course, it was then I realised I needed to train my lords. Yes, because an untrained lord is just a game over waiting to happen, even if they're kind of meh like Leaf and 25 or well, okay, Roy in particular, he sometimes gets a little too much training and has to sit out about 60% of the game just being useless because he's already fully leveled up and he'll steal experience from your other characters if he's used to. That's part of the reason why Roy's... And hey, level up on staffs. Need one more rank though to get Fortify. I want to go for that. Shame Fortify has to be A ranked, but I guess it is really good for health, so... yeah. Right then. We'll need to go back because I have a feeling I have a terrible feeling the Reinforce is going to be back soon. Oh crap, Narbal can't get on the fort. Yeah, without terrain, dodge tanking is really hard to do in this game. And that's why I like to put Narbal on forts or woods or mountains if I can. Just give him some terrain bonus because he dodges really well if he does have terrain, but without terrain, yeah, don't buy this game's new evasion formula. I'm pretty sure the evasion formula is back to normal in Awakening. Because, yeah, I've seen like really low percentages in Awakening. And no reinforcements. They might come again, is that or they've stopped next turn? Ooh, ow. Hit by 2 ballistas in 1 turn. This is really... And that guy avoided him. That is really strange. Because if that guy had gone for him, then things may have been really bad. And oh, great. The physics staff bishops are going to heal him, aren't they? And that's skill maxed. Yeah, heroes have a 30 cap in skill, which, I guess that's supposed to be their specialty stat, skill, whereas Swordmasters have speed. But the main benefit of heroes is really better strength and defense than Swordmaster. They've always been kind of the halfway point between Swordmaster and General, and because of that they've usually been pretty useful. But, oh come on Ryan, get speed! In this game though again, I'd argue that heroes aren't quite as useful as they usually are, because 26 speed is a little lacking, especially on the higher difficulties. And yeah, they come just short of doubling stuff, and it's, again, though I don't like the fact that Falconites only have, actually I think Elrond is ready to use Recover Stars, and that's going to come really handy. But anyway, what I was saying, Falconites, I don't really like the fact they only have a 26 speed cap in this game. It's just, actually, it's only 3 points above Draco, and that doesn't quite outweigh the strength and defense advantages Draco has, so... Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about Falconites in this game. And of course, go for 1 and cast counterattack. The AI love to do that, of course, but you can abuse that if you... I am pretty sure the reinforcements have officially stopped. Well, that was long, but after that, we've come out of that pretty decently leveled. I mean, we went into this chapter with everyone about level 9, and now most of our characters are approaching level 12. So, yeah, that's a pretty good increase, and like I said, these next few chapters are very good for experience. Well, I don't know, I mean, it is possible, though, for the game to end in the next chapter, so I guess that's not exactly that great. Oh, come on! Ballistas have really high defense, and that's really annoying. But now we can finally start to kill them, because, yeah, they were really annoying before, but, yeah, if you try and rush the ballistas too early, you will get mobbed with reinforcements. By the way, those proximity reinforcements don't discriminate based on turns, so if you try and warp skip this chapter, but don't manage to kill the boss in 1 turn, you will trip the reinforcements immediately, and that will probably result in a messy death for whoever you send on boss killing you. So, I wouldn't recommend doing that, unless you really know what you're doing. Well, I don't recommend warp skip in general because it's really cheap, but... I mean, in fact, warp skipping is actually a bit easier in this game, given that you have Athena, so you can actually do it in 1 turn if you want, but, I don't like warp skipping, it's stupid. Well, not stupid, it's just really cheap, and it takes all the enjoyment out of the game, really, if you just finish every chapter in 2 turns with no challenge whatsoever. Anyway, just a couple of ballistas, bishops, and the boss, and that's basically it. I mean, the boss is pretty powerful, but, he's actually not that bad compared to dealing with all those reinforcements. We can just pick him off at our leisure, really. He's nothing really to write home about. He's got good stats, but... I want to get some axe experience for Catria, by the way. Even though I do like the axe critical animation, for Draconites. Anyway, yeah, now I can just simply swoop in and take this guy down with my wing spear. Now, after I've taken down this ballista. my... Oh, that'll give me enough damage. Yeah, probably always better to be reliable over relying on crits, because if you rely on crits too much, you'll get things like where Mark did critical with 241%. Oh, speaking of not critically with percent in the high 40s, well, you'll see that next chapter. Anyway, this is Nering. Weird odd fact about Nering. Nering, for some reason, appeared in unused data in Shadow Dragon. There was a portrait bearing his name, but it's actually very different to his new Mystery of the Emblem portrait. It doesn't look anything like this one, actually. He doesn't have his cravat and, definitely on a villain moustache / beard thing. And she's maxed out on life. Still don't know why he dropped the spirit dust. Anyway, yes, a random portrait bearing the name Nering is in Shadow Dragon's unused data, so I really don't know why that's the case, unless they were planning a full remake of both Book 1 and Book 2 of Mystery of the Emblem as one game at the time. I don't know, really, yeah, I don't know, but, or unless Nering was meant to make a cameo or something. I don't see why, he's a pretty generic boss, really, but... I mean, he looks cool, but other than that, he's just a generic boss, so I don't see why they give him a cameo. Of course, then there was, what's his name, Heimler, I believe. Yeah, he was unused in the original FE1, and that's why he appeared in Shadow Dragon with no dialogue, but a portrait. He was weird. So, yeah, I don't know what to make of Nering being an unused portrait in that one, but let's just chop up these bishops. And we should be ready to seize and be done with this chapter, finally. Yeah, I really just, by this point, I didn't really care who got the kills. I just wanted this chapter to be over. All those reinforcements. Wow. Oh, and her axe level's finally increased. That's good. So, let's take Arcania Palace, which actually does look less interesting than the castle all the way back in the past. So, yeah. But we have an old, quote-unquote, friend here. This is Boa. Boa, however, will not be joining us. Instead, he'll be dying. Yes, Boa, along with Lorenz, is one of the very, very small pool of characters from the original Shadow Dragon who do not rejoin in this game. So, basically, Boa is going to give us some backstory about the fact that Boa actually unwittingly instigated this whole mess to begin with by forcing Nina to marry someone. There was foreshadowing to this if you had Boa talk to, I believe it was Astra or Midia. It was one of those two in Shadow Dragon. Of course, not to do that because Boa was terrible in that game. And I mean, a lot of people find it funny that Boa was dying here because he was easily one of the worst characters in that game, hands down, and possibly one of the worst magic users flat out in the whole series. But anyway, he's talking about how Nina and Hardin and their marriage and how that happened. And how this unwittingly started this whole mess. So basically, Nina could have married Mark, but she didn't because she was nice and didn't want to break Sheeta's heart. So you got to give her credit for that. But basically, yeah, you got this scene here. So essentially, Hardin was genuinely in love with Nina, but she still loved Camus, even though he was... Well, you'll see, in a bit. Basically, she still loved him, but there was that problem of the fact that he was 1, from a foreign country, 2, not really of nobility, and 3, missing presumed dead at the time. So, she obviously couldn't... So marrying him obviously wasn't an option. But Hardin, yeah, in being married to someone who didn't love him, he kinda went a bit depressed, and because of that, Garnef was able to, yeah, use the Dark Sphere to twist those emotions. So basically, yeah, you'll find out sort of what the Dark Sphere does a bit later. It basically takes someone's worst emotions and exaggerates them to the point where they're all to find them. Anyway, Boa is, now that he's dead, he's going to give us a physics staff and Thoron. And always nice to have another Thoron. And now the video's gone black because I've been talking too long. But anyway, whoa, I've been talking for a long time. I need to give my voice a break today after all that. Those were 2 really long parts. But I'll see you next time for the final battle, question mark? Or not? Well, the final battle with Hardin, at least. See you then.